The Empire stretched across the stars like a giant shadow, its fleet stationed in every sector, its banners floating above broken worlds. It was a force that no one dared to challenge. In the far edge of a forgotten system, one imperial fleet drifted in silence. The admiral in command was calm, his officers proud. They had been sent to watch a small rebellion among local colonies. The Empire expected no resistance, only submission. The crew worked with routine precision. Their scanners checked every movement in space. Their voices filled the control hall with confidence. Humanity had been defeated centuries ago. At least that was the truth written in imperial history. Humans were weak, fragile, and divided. No one had seen a real human fleet in living memory. But that night, the silence felt different. There was something heavy in the air. A young officer looked at the screen and frowned. "Sir, we are picking up strange readings." His voice trembled slightly. The admiral turned, his expression firm. "Define strange." The officer adjusted the scanner, his hands cold. "Energy spikes, unusual patterns. They do not match any known ship signature." The hall grew quiet. Officers exchanged uneasy glances. The Empire controlled thousands of worlds. They knew every kind of vessel, but this signal felt wrong, unnatural. Then the lights flickered. For a second, the great fleet systems dimmed. Panic filled this control deck. Power fluctuation across multiple ships. Another officer shouted. The admiral's jaw tightened. "Report, is this sabotage?" Before anyone could answer, the star field in front of them twisted. The emptiness of space rippled as if touched by invisible hands, and then it happened. A massive shape tore into existence, its outline forming out of pure void. 1 second the space was empty. The next second it was filled by a warship, larger than anything the Empire had ever seen. Gasps filled the hall. Some officers froze, others whispered in disbelief. "Impossible," one voice cracked. "No ship can just appear like that." The vessel was black and silver, sharp like a blade, its hull covered with strange markings. It was silent, but its presence pressed against every soul who looked at it. "Identify it?" the admiral barked, his voice louder than the fear in his chest. The scanners tried, but the data returned broken. Numbers scrambled. Systems failed to measure its size, its shields, or even its power source. "It's not in our database," the young officer whispered. We don't know what it is." The admiral's eyes narrowed. "Every ship is in our database." Then the officer spoke again, this time his words heavy like stone. "Sir, it's human." The hall froze. Silence heavier than metal filled the room. "Repeat that," the admiral demanded, though his own heart already knew. "The markings, the structure, the design. This is a human warship." The Empire had erased humanity from its stories, had called them extinct, scattered, broken. Yet now, before their eyes, a human warship had materialized in an instant. Outside, the massive ship moved forward slowly, its engines glowing with a strange blue fire. No comms, no signals, only silence. The admiral clenched his fists. His proud empire had been built on the belief that humans were gone forever. But this ghost from the past, stood defying all of history. His officers whispered in fear. Some refused to believe. Others prayed silently. "Prepare the fleet," the admiral ordered, though his voice carried cracks of doubt. Outside, the human warship stopped, hanging in the void, its weapons hidden, but its presence overwhelming. The Empire could not believe what it was seeing. Humanity had returned, and they had brought something the galaxy was not ready to face. The silence before the storm had begun. The Empire fleet held position, their formation sharp and wide, hundreds of ships ready to fire, yet none moved, their eyes locked on the silent giant that had appeared before them. The human warship did not move closer. It simply drifted with steady control. Its surface glowed faintly, with patterns that no one could understand. The admiral stood tall on the command deck, his voice low but sharp. "Open comes, I want them to hear us." Static filled the speakers. The officers waited. The admiral spoke. "This is the Empire fleet. Identify yourself. You are in restricted space. Power down your engines and prepare for inspection." His words echoed into the void, yet no reply came. Seconds passed, then minutes. The silence weighed heavier than any threat. An officer whispered, "Sir, they heard us." "But they are ignoring us." The admiral's jaw tightened. "They want us to be nervous." He turned toward the tactical screen. The Empire had crushed dozens of uprisings. They had silenced worlds with fire. No ship had ever dared to ignore an order, yet this human warship moved like a predator that did not fear the hunter. The admiral ordered again. Louder this time, repeat the message. "Tell them if they do not comply, we will open fire." The officer obeyed. The words were sent into the dark. Again, silence answered, but the ship moved, its great hull turning slightly, its nose pointing directly at the flagship of the Empire. Fleet. The control room fell silent. The crew could almost feel its gaze. Fear began to spread like smoke. The young officer at the scanners shook his head. "Sir, this is not normal. Their energy readings, they are too high. No Empire ship carries this much power." The admiral walked closer. "Too high? Give me numbers." "I can't," the officer replied, sweat running down his face. "The systems break each time I try. It's like the data does not exist." For the first time in years, the admiral felt the cold taste of doubt. Then a sound came, not from their speakers, but from the very space around them. A low hum, deep and ancient. It vibrated through the metal of their ship, through their bones. "What is that?" Another officer shouted, covering her ears. "No source detected," the scanner replied. "It's everywhere." The hum grew stronger, steady like a heartbeat. The human warship's surface glowed brighter, strange symbols pulsing with the rhythm. Ships in the Empire fleet adjusted nervously. Formations shifted. Some captains whispered to their crews, fear rising with every second. "They are toying with us," the admiral growled. "All ships ready weapons, aim at their engines." Orders were sent. Hundreds of cannons powered up. Red lights filled the dark. The Empire fleet prepared to remind the galaxy who ruled the stars. But just as their fingers hovered over the triggers, the hum stopped, silence returned. A silence so complete it felt unnatural then. A single light flickered on the human ship. Just one point of blue fire at its core. It spread outward in a circle. Lines of light racing across its hull, like veins awakening. The scanner screamed with warnings. Alarms blared. Unidentified weapon system charging. Unknown capacity. The admiral's heart pounded. For the first time he did not know what would happen next. "Hold fire," he ordered suddenly, shocking his officers. "Wait." The fleet froze, their cannons glowing, their crews sweating, waiting for the unknown. But the human ship did not fire. It simply held the glow, letting the Empire fleet know that it could, at any moment, end them. The admiral clenched his fists. "They want us to understand. This is not a request. This is a warning." His officers stared at him, some pale with fear, others trembling for generations. The Empire had believed humans were broken, their fleets destroyed, their worlds scattered. But this single warship now held an entire fleet in silence. The young officer whispered the thought no one wanted to say. "Sir, if this is only one ship, how many more do they have?" No one answered, because the question itself was more terrifying than the silence. The Empire's pride was beginning to fracture, and the echoes of fear were spreading across the stars. Asterisk. The Empire fleet could not sit in silence forever. Their pride was built on power. Their history written in blood. To be ignored by one ship was an insult no admiral could accept. The command deck of the flagship shook with tension. The officers waited for orders, their hands hovered over controls, their eyes shifting between fear and duty. The admiral looked at the human warship, the silent giant glowing with faint blue light. His jaw tightened. "Prepare warning fire." The room gasped. One officer spoke softly. "Sir, if they retaliate, enough." The admiral cut him off. His voice sharp. "The Empire does. Not beg. We strike first. Always." The orders spread through the fleet. Weapons charged. The stars lit up with red glow as hundreds of cannons aimed at the mysterious vessel. The admiral raised his hand, and with a slow motion, dropped it. Fire! The night exploded. Beams of plasma shot across the void. Missiles burned through. The dark, the Empire unleashed a storm of destruction at the lone warship. The human vessel did not move. It stood still as the firestorm struck. Impact after impact shook the darkness. Explosions flared across the surface. Smoke and energy storms covered the target. The Empire officers cheered in relief. Direct hits. The weapons officer cried. All shots landed, but as the smoke cleared, the cheers died. A warship was still there, untouched, its surface glowing brighter. Not a single scar, not even a scratch. The officers froze. Disbelief carved into their faces. "Impossible," one whispered. "No shield can take that much fire." The scanners beeped wildly, flashing error after error. Our systems cannot read their defense. It's like the attacks never existed. The admiral's heart sank, but he forced his voice to remain steady. "Reload. Strike again." Before the command could be followed, the human warship moved, slowly, almost lazily, as if mocking them. Its great hull tilted, its nose aligned with one of the Empire cruisers. Then, without warning, a beam of pure white light shot forward. Silent, clean, no build-up, no noise, only destruction. A cruiser struck by the beam did not explode in fire. It simply broke apart, its hull splitting into fragments, its lights dying in an instant. Thousands of lives vanished before anyone could even scream. The Empire fleet fell into silence. The crew on the flagship watched in horror as one of their strongest ships was reduced to drifting wreckage. "One shot," the young officer whispered. "Just one." The admiral gripped the rail. His knuckles white, the human ship returned to stillness, its single strike a message written in the stars. Then the comms sparked alive. For the first time a voice came through. It was calm, steady, and human. "Empire fleet, stand down," the voice said, simple and unshaken. "You have made your choice clear. Now you will understand ours." The crew shivered. The admiral stared at the speakers. The sound of a human voice carried more weight than any weapon. The voice continued. "We are not here to beg for peace. We are not here to ask for mercy. We are here to remind the galaxy that humanity is not gone. Humanity does not kneel. Humanity rises." The comms cut off, silence returned. The admiral's officers turned to him, waiting for orders, but he said nothing. For the first time in his career, he did not know what command to give. One ship had just humbled the Empire's pride. The human warship hovered in the void, its lights steady, its weapons quiet. But its message had already shaken the Empire to its core. The first exchange was over, and the Empire had lost more than a cruiser. It had lost its certainty. The crew whispered to each other, voices trembling. If this is only one ship, what waits behind it? Fear spread like a virus, faster than any weapon. The admiral knew one thing for certain. The Empire's age of dominance had just begun to crack, and the fracture would only grow. The wreckage of the fallen cruiser drifted in silence, pieces of metal glowing faint red as they spun slowly in the void. Thousands of Empire soldiers gone in the blink of an eye. The Empire fleet held position, but their pride was cracking. Every captain could feel it. Every crew member could see it. One human warship had done what no Empire enemy had ever dared. On the flagship's deck, the admiral stood frozen, his mind struggling to process what had just happened. The Empire had fired first, had unleashed its full strength, and yet the human ship stood unharmed. Then the comms lit again. The voice of a human filled the hall, calm and steady, not loud, not angry, just certain. Empire fleet, the voice said. You believe humanity was broken, that we were scattered, that we were gone. The words echoed across the fleet, heard by every officer, every soldier, every crew member. You wrote us out of history. You called us weak, fragile, finished, the voice continued. But you were wrong. Humanity does not vanish. Humanity endures. Humanity remembers. The control deck was silent. No one dared interrupt. Even the admiral stood still, his pride battling against the weight of those words. We have returned, the human voice declared, and we are not the same as before. Exile forged us, loss strengthened us, silence taught us. Now we stand ready, and we do not bow, the officers whispered in fear. Some clenched their fists in anger, but none could deny the chill in their bones. The admiral forced himself to speak. Open reply channel, he ordered, his voice shaking. When the link was open, he stepped forward. This is the Empire, he said with forced authority. We are the rulers of the stars. You cannot threaten. U.S. with one ship. Your kind was erased long ago. You will be erased again, his words echoed. But even he felt how weak they sounded compared to the calm strength of the human voice. The human answered without hesitation. You mistake this ship for our strength. It is not. It is only a shadow of what we have built. Humanity does not measure power in numbers or weapons alone. We measure it in will, and our will is endless. Gasps filled the control deck. The admiral's officers looked at each other with unease. The human voice lowered, calm but heavy. You fired first. You drew blood. And still we give you one chance. Leave this system, pull back your fleet, and the Empire may yet see another sunrise. The audacity of those words shook everyone. Never in history had anyone spoken to the Empire in such a way, as if the Empire itself was nothing but a guest in the galaxy. One officer broke the silence, his voice filled with fear. Sir, what if they are telling the truth? What if this is not their only ship? The admiral glared at him. But deep inside he knew the same thought had been gnawing at his own heart. The human warship floated in the void, its lights pulsing softly. Patient, unshaken, it did not rush. It did not fear. It simply waited. The Empire fleet trembled not from battle damage, but from doubt. The admiral raised his hand, ready to order another attack. But he froze. The memory of the destroyed cruiser still burned behind his eyes. The human voice returned once more. We are not here to conquer. We are not here to destroy without reason. We are here to remind the galaxy that humanity stands. And when humanity stands, no empire, no throne, no chain will hold. A comms cut again. Silence returned. The officers looked at their admiral, waiting for the next step, but his lips did not move. His pride screamed to fight, but his reason whispered caution. The Empire, for the first time in centuries, had been given a warning instead of issuing one. And the most terrifying truth was simple. The human voice did not sound like a threat. It sounded like a promise. Asterisk. The Empire had ruled the stars for generations, its fleets unmatched, its enemies crushed before they could rise. But in that moment, staring at the silent human warship, the Empire felt something it had not felt in centuries' fear. The admiral stood on the flagship, his fists clenched, his pride bleeding. His officers watched him in silence, waiting, their eyes filled with doubt. To retreat meant shame. The Empire never retreated. To stay meant death. But the admiral's pride roared louder than reason. He raised his hand, his voice sharp. All ships, prepare full assault, every cannon, every missile. Fire at once, break them. The command spread across the fleet. Thousands of weapons powered up. The stars burned red as energy filled the void. The human warship did not move. It waited, patient, as if daring them to strike. The admiral's hand dropped. Fire! The universe lit. Up, beams of plasma, torrents of missiles, storms of destruction filled the dark. The Empire unleashed its fury. Every ship emptied its weapons. The void trembled under the assault. But when the storm cleared, the human vessel was still there. Untouched, its hull glowing brighter. Its silence louder than thunder, gasps and cries filled the Empire ships. Disbelief turned to horror. Before fear could settle, the human warship moved. One instant it was there, the next it was gone, vanishing like smoke. Scanners screamed with alarms. We lost them, an officer cried. They vanished from every system. Panic spread. Then suddenly the warship appeared again, not in front, but behind the Empire fleet, its massive form rising like a shadow. Over their rear line, without a sound, it fired. White beams cut through 3 destroyers, slicing them apart like paper before the Empire could turn. The ship vanished again, reappearing above the fleet. Firing once more, a battleship cracked open, fire spilling into the dark. The Empire had never faced an enemy that could fold space itself. Appearing and striking wherever it pleased, the fleet broke formation, ships scattering in chaos. Voices shouted across the cons. We can't track them, we can't lock weapons. They're everywhere. The admiral's heart pounded. Sweat ran down his neck. He stared at the chaos. Then the human voice returned, calm, steady, unshaken. This is what exile gave us, the voice said. While you ruled the galaxy, we learned to bend the fabric of space. While you grew lazy in your throne, we built weapons you cannot comprehend. The voice grew colder. This ship is not our strongest. It is not our first. It is only the one you were meant to see. The officers on the flagship froze. Their blood turned to ice. The human warship vanished once more, then appeared directly in front of the Empire flagship, its shadow filling every screen, its weapons glowing with quiet fire. The human voice spoke again. We gave you a chance to leave. You chose pride. So now you will carry the truth back to your throne, if it survives. The admiral's breath shook, his pride shattered, his empire broken. He wanted to order one last strike, but his voice would not come. His lips trembled before his words could form. The human ship fired a single beam. It cut across space, striking the Empire's fleet command relay, the heart of their network. In an instant, half the fleet went blind, powerless, drifting. The admiral collapsed into his chair, his eyes hollow. He knew it was over. The human warship turned slowly, its engines glowing with silent blue light. It did not finish the Empire fleet. It did not slaughter every ship. It left them broken, humiliated, and terrified. The human voice spoke one final time. Tell your emperor, humanity has returned, and the age of empires is ending. Then, in a flash of light, the warship vanished, folding space as if it had never been there, leaving only silence and wreckage in the dark. Across the galaxy, whispers spread like wildfire. The Empire had faced something beyond its power. A ghost of humanity that had returned from the ashes. Worlds that had once knelt in fear lifted their heads. Slaves and rebels whispered hope. The throne of the Empire trembled. And somewhere, hidden in the vastness of the stars, humanity prepared for the next step, no longer broken, no longer forgotten, but rising, unstoppable. The shattered throne marked the beginning of a new age, and the galaxy would never be the same again. Asterisk.